Hey, what's up? It's Conrad, and I'm going to show you guys how I recorded that Sweet Low, Sweet Home, Sweet Chariot song on guitar. Some people commented on the mic, wondering what mic it was or wondering what mic techniques, and so I'm glad you asked that question because it was kind of this technique I just thought of where I used three inputs. So as you can see here, to audio. That is the SM57. The 3 audio here, this is the direct input. And then this one down here, 4 audio, this MBI, that's the Rode microphone that was on the camera I was using. That sounds like this. So when you put them all together, it sounds like this. So I also did a fair amount of EQ. Let's look at this SM57. So without the EQ, it's going to sound like this. So it has kind of like a lot of low mids and sounds like kind of boxy. So I just kind of cleaned up a little bit with the EQ here. I cut at 152 hertz. I did a little high pass here, and then just kind of shaped it just what I thought it sounded like. On a different day I might have done it differently, but this is just the way I did it that day. Just to solo it with the EQ sounds like this. So it's cleaner, and without it, it sounds like this. So another thing I wanted to do is when I was playing the guitar, practicing the piece, I was thinking that that when I record, it never really sounds like the way my ears hear it, and maybe some people have the same kind of issue where you record back, it just sounds different. So I was really kind of observing the way my ears were thinking about this piece, and I could hear the fret noise and kind of like the little details. So what I did with these mics here, this one down here, channel 4 and channel 2, those were the microphones. I kind of carved out some of the body so just the lows and the highs would kind of stick out. And then I used the direct input to be most of the mid-range body. So here's the direct input with no EQ. Sounds pretty good. With the EQ, just cut a little of the frequencies here that were clashing, and then I just kind of went through again later on. I didn't want to mess with this, and then I just kind of shaped it a little more. So with the 2 EQs, it sounds like this. So it's cleaner. And as you can see here, I cut some of the highs on this direct input recording because I wanted the highs from the microphones, the SM57 and the camera mic, to kind of stand out a little more. So here's what the camera mic sounds like. This one took a little bit extra work because there was a lot of room noise, and it's just like a camera microphone, but it sounds like this with no EQ. Real boxy, real kind of low mids and all this. So I just cut the lows here. I just kind of shaped it to taste, nothing really in particular. And then here I just kind of I don't even know why I did that. I just did it again, but it sounds like this. Now, my idea wasn't to get it to sound good on its own. I wanted it to sound good blended with each other. So here's what both of the mics sound like. And I would A and B these things. So that's the camera microphone and the SM57. And I think that's a pretty good room sound. It has lows and highs. That's what it's going for. Room dynamics and lows and highs. So when you blend it here with the mid-range, everything together sounds like this. I thought it sounded pretty good. So there was another thing I wanted to experiment with, and I thought this worked pretty well too. It might be more of a subtle effect, but these two mic sounds here, the SM57 and the camera microphone, I came over here where there's a delay tab, and as you can see, I put a -7 on the SM57 and then a +5 on the Rode microphone. And what that's doing is it's displacing the time a little bit. So maybe I can demonstrate here, and it's very subtle because I only put a little bit. But when you displace the time, it gives the illusion of it being wider. So if we go over here and set both these to 0 and solo them together. And then this one was at -7. And this one was at 5. And let's see if we can hear a difference. It makes it sound wider, and I wanted to experiment with that because when I play the song, I hear a lot of that fret stuff, and I must be hearing reflection off the room. So I was just trying to get it closer to the way my ears hear it. So when you record the computer, you have to tell the computer to do these things. So displacing the time between the two microphones. The direct input is just 0. So the direct input is really the main body of the sound, and these two inputs are kind of the texture. Now I grouped these 3 channels, and in there I put a little bit of glue compressor on there. As without it. Just kind of brings the volume up a little bit, and it kind of sustains those little notes a little longer. Another thing I did was over here in the master channel, applied a little bit more EQ here, boosted the bass, and just kind of, I was just trying something. I thought it sounded good at the time. I cut the highs here. I put a limiter, and I increased the dB because the recording was pretty quiet, so I increased the dB. I was using the spectrum just to see the overall frequency range. Now here on the multiband dynamics, this is the multiband compression, I decreased the mids a little bit, and that was to let the lows and the highs come out a little more. And then I toggled with this low switch a little bit as well to get it to the range that felt right, because the acoustic guitar doesn't have a whole lot of super lows in it, so I had to adjust this to make this little cut sound like it fit. So I did that. I also put these send effects in there as well on the group channel. So this is the 3 inputs grouped, and I put a little bit of A and a little bit of B, which is reverb, and delay. On the delay, I put this to time, and I just kind of messed with it until I thought it sounded all right. And now that I look at it, I probably should have done it on this side too, but you know, whatever. Then the reverb, I kind of sculpted the reverb to have more of the kind of mid-range reverb there, and then I just brought these up to bring these effects and blend them in a little bit. So anyway, that's how I did it. If you have any questions, let me know. Yeah. And thanks for watching the video. Hopefully this is helpful, and we'll see you soon. Okay.